verbo.cc.edu.
Save over $200 when you book weekly stays with Verbo this winter. If you haven't seen your college besties since, well, college, you need a week to catch up in a snowy cabin. Take a week-long vacation and save over $200. Book now at verbo.com.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Streaming audio, podcasts, video highlights. The Arizona Sports app has all this and more from the local sports leader, including Cardinals play-by-play.
Breaks a tackle, heads for the end zone, touchdown!
Download the Arizona Sports app, presented by Ready Services Plumbing and Air Conditioning.
Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Now, here's Alex Del Barrio.
We continue rolling on here on Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center all night.
Seattle Mariners first baseman Josh Naylor will stay with Seattle as the two sides agree on a new 5-year deal. This according to sources telling ESPN's Jeff Passan. Naylor, a deadline acquisition, hit .299 with 9 homers and 33 RBIs in 54 games after being acquired by the Mariners. The Steelers beat the Bengals 34-12 on Sunday, but Aaron Rodgers would not re-enter the game after halftime. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter that there is concern that Rodgers has a slight break in his left non-throwing wrist. Rodgers will undergo further testing on Monday to see how long he would be sidelined. And on Sunday Night Football, a battle between the two winningest teams in the NFL over the last 2 seasons, the Lions against the Eagles, and it was once again the tush push putting the Eagles in front for good in the second quarter on Sports Radio 94 WIP.
They're going to line up right on the goal line and try and stop that push from coming in.
Can they? No, not even close. Touchdown, Eagles. Jalen Hurts.
You heard it right there as the Eagles picked up the win 16-9 over the Lions. First time the Eagles have held back-to-back opponents under 10 points since the 2022 season. Just 26 points, though, for the Eagles in the last 2 games, their fewest in a 2-game span since 2019, their fewest points over a 2-game win streak since 1997. Eagles now have become plus 500 favorites to win the Super Bowl following the Chiefs' loss. Saquon Barkley, a season-high 26 carries for 83 yards, has failed to score a touchdown in 4 of the last 5 after scoring in 4 of the first 5 games. Lions now 0-3 against the Eagles under Dan Campbell. It's the only NFC team the Lions haven't beaten under Campbell and held under 10 points in 2 of those 3 games. Let's hear from Jalen Hurts, and he was asked, where does the resilience of this team come from?
I think it comes from the band and the familiarity within the building. And I always, you've heard me talk a lot about those Georgia guys on the other side of the ball and how familiar they are with one another. And I think they bring a special energy to the defense and to the team. And you see it out there today, all those guys making plays, defense playing lights out. Defense playing lights out. One of the best performances I've ever seen. So, really big time game on that side of the ball. To be able to do what they did on 4th down against a really good offense, a potent offense that's capable of doing really special things. And I have a lot of respect for that.
That was Jalen Hurts. Now, as for Lions head coach Dan Campbell, was asked about their offensive struggles throughout the game.
No, they really didn't do anything different. I mean, he, like Fangio does, he mixed his calls, and he's got a few that he rolls through, and he does a good job of variety there, but yet I wouldn't say it was anything like exotic or anything we haven't seen or talked about. We were just a little off. I mean, it really was kind of one of those days. I hate saying that, but it was just a little bit of one of those days. And I mean, it's a rarity that golf and St. Brown don't connect more than that. That's just a rare thing because those guys have such a good connection. But there again, man, we're all involved in this. We all got a hand in it. From me, the coaches, all of us, man, everybody that's part of this offense. We got to be better, especially in a day like today when you're playing that kind of defense, that kind of team. The margin for error is so small, man. You don't have the luxury. Like we get in the red zone, we have to score a touchdown, man. We can't come away not scoring 7 there. We have to convert at least 2 or 3 of those fourth downs. You have to, and we were a little off. We just couldn't get our rhythm there. That was Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Let's fast forward to a game in the AFC North. The Bengals taking on the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers getting the start. It's a matchup between Joe Flacco and Rodgers, one of 2 matchups between opposing quarterbacks ages 40 or older in NFL history. Tom Brady and Drew Brees was the other time it happened. They met 3 times in the 2020 season. Bengals have won 2 straight versus the Steelers for the first time since winning 3 in a row between 2020 and 2021. The Bengals 2-0 against the AFC North. Steelers getting off to a good start on their opening drive of the game. Aaron Rodgers finds Kenneth Gainwell.
Steelers 8th in the NFL in the red zone. Bengals defense is 30th. Here's a pass out to the left flat for Gainwell. Gets to the edge and scampers into the end zone. And Kenneth Gainwell has given the Steelers an early lead on this opening drive with a touchdown.
That made it a 7-0 lead, but the Bengals would respond on their very next drive as Joe Flacco would find T. Higgins.
Flacco changing the play as he touches both sides of his helmet and backs up into the shotgun. Taj Brooks to his left. Flacco catches the 40-year-old QB with a 5-step drop. Penalty flag down. Flacco throws it deep. Caught at the 7. T. Higgins runs into the end zone, but there's a penalty flag in the offensive backfield.
Looks like it's holding against Pittsburgh.
The Bengals are celebrating, so that's going to be a 28-yard touchdown pass.
It was on ESPN 15:30 on the call. So a 7-6 game at that point. But bad news for the Steelers. They would not get Aaron Rodgers back after halftime, left with a wrist injury. So the Pittsburgh Steelers would have to resort to Mason Rudolph playing quarterback for them. We'll fast forward to the third quarter, but it was a Pittsburgh defensive play which got them the next time in the end zone.
51 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Flacco gets the snap, back to pass. Steelers bringing 5. Flacco over the middle of the field. It's picked off. It's Duggar. Duggar to the 40-yard line. Racing across the 50 to the 40. Looking for a block from Herbig. Gets it streaking down the left sideline. Makes Chase miss and waltzes into the end zone. Duggar, a 72-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Steelers.
WDVE 102.5 on the call. As the Steelers would go on to win it 34-12. Rodgers missing the second half with a left hand injury. Did have 116 yards and the passing touchdown to Gainwell. Mason Rudolph came in, was 12 of 16, 127 yards, and he threw a touchdown as well. Steelers with 2 defensive touchdowns. You heard one. James Pierre had a 33-yard fumble recovery to give them that 34-12 advantage, which gave them that victory as the Steelers with those 2 defensive touchdowns, again, from Duggar and Pierre. We'll move over to the Bears and Vikings. Fourth quarter action on KFAN and the Minnesota Vikings radio network. It's J.J. McCarthy to Jordan Addison.
McCarthy shotgun, 1st and 10 from the Bears 15. Addison in motion to the left. Takes the snap. Now a 4-man rush. McCarthy to the end zone. And caught! Yes! Jordan Addison! Just in the nick of time. And we're tied at 16. Please! J.J. McCarthy, well done!
That score made it 16-16 in the fourth quarter, but Cairo Santos coming up for Chicago to try to win it from 48 yards away.
Out of the hole to Torrey Taylor, right hash slide angle left from 49. Cairo Santos, the 8 on his white jersey, awaiting the snap. Snap is back. Hold is good. Sweeps the right leg. Cairo Santos is up. He's good! Good! Good from 48! on the Viking logo. Bears win it 19-17. Another comeback drive by Caleb Williams. The Iceman cometh, and the Bears take it from the Vikings. And they win again, 7-3 through 11 weeks of the season. They've won 7 of 8 and 3 in a row, and they never say die with this head coach, Ben Johnson.
They pick up a big victory here. Let's hear from Ben Johnson, who's excited to get his first win inside the division.
Kind of been waiting for one of those from him, to be honest with you. He's come really close a number of times, and then he was able to capture it on the bounce there and got us right there on the cuff of field goal range. We're just a little bit out of it, and we're able to run it just enough to feel good about our kick from there. So, he got one of the game balls because of that. Very well deserved.
Bears' 5th win after trailing in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter this season, tied for most by any team in the NFL. Caleb Williams, 16 of 32 yards, 193 passing yards in its 5th game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or overtime this season, leads the National Football League. As for the Vikings, and head coach Kevin O'Connell says they beat themselves.
They made a play to get the ball in field goal range on the kickoff return, and they made that play, which ended up being a winning play in a game that was quite honestly something that we did a lot of the things that we talked about not doing. The main thing being the turnovers, and got to take a look at them, obviously, but I was proud of the way we ran the ball, tried to stick with it as much as we could, ended up with a couple of 2-minute drives there where we had to go and maybe became one-dimensional, but for the most part, the guys up front felt like we protected. I think we limited the negatives for the most part. We just felt like we were a play away all day.
Packers taking on the Giants. It's one of the early games. Packers and Giants, two of the oldest franchises in the National Football League. Packers trying to avoid their 3rd straight game with 13 or fewer points, and Packers defense allowing 13 points per game in their losses this season. Jordan Love with no passing touchdowns in back-to-back games, looking to avoid becoming the first Packers starting quarterback without a passing touchdown in 3 straight games since Brett Favre back in 2005. Well, Jordan Love didn't waste much time as we get into the second half. 3rd quarter action as Green Bay goes in front.
Tight end in motion. Love drops the throw. Floats it out to the right. Wide open is the tight end, Josh Wiley, for the touchdown. Wiley hauls it in for the score. There was nobody in the zip code. And the Giants fall behind as the Packers go right down the field on their opening series of the second half.
19-13 the score at that point. We got more coming up. This time it was Jameis Winston playing quarterback again for the Giants, and he punches it in to get the game evened up again.
Winston, quarterback sneak to the goal line. Touchdown, Giants! Jameis Winston has tied it up on a 1-yard plunge, and the Giants have a chance to take the lead.
The point after would put them in front, 20-19, but Jordan Love one more time gets the Packers in the end zone on ESPN Radio.
Jordan Love, who juggles the snap. He's going to loft it right for the end zone for Watson, and somehow holds it in tons of traffic. And Watson gives the Packers the lead on a touchdown in the near corner of the end zone. How did he ever find the handle with 3 white jerseys in front of him?
27-20 the score at that point. That would be the final. Packers scoring touchdowns on all 4 of their drives in the red zone. It's the Packers' 3rd win this season after trailing in the fourth quarter. Jordan Love, 13-24, 174 yards and 2 touchdowns.